People of the Purple Butterfly here, otherwise known as People7 on Twitter and YouTube, people elsewhere on the internet. My soaps are located at purplebutterfly-soaps.myshopify.com. My blog is located at purplebutterfly-people.blogspot.com. And I'm making Christmas presents. And there's something I used to do back in the day, 7-inch ceramic plate, and basically I'm going to put memory on this plate. I already sealed it with some Eileen's tacky glue. This is an inkjet picture, so basically I wanted to make sure that the resin, which is what I'm using to encase it permanently, resin tends to heat up and it can do weird things to inkjet ink, like discolor it, fade it, disintegrate it. So what I did was I took some Eileen's tacky glue. I used to do this with Mod Podge, and kind of find out after 5-10 years, Mod Podge turns your artwork yellowish. Which is why I stopped making these. But resin is crystal clear, will stay crystal clear for years and years and years, and never ever turn yellow. I'm going to show you an example of that right quick. Excuse me. This was one of the original things that I used to make. This is a fiber mache vase. It's got pink fabric and yellow fabric and gold all through it. And I sealed it with Mod Podge, and over time it turned yellow. So because there's actually gold in here, people don't notice the yellowish cast. They just assume that was there on purpose. But I've since coated this in resin, so whatever yellowish thing that was going to happen is arrested. When you're making pictures like this for friends, I mean, this is a special moment in this person's life. The last thing you want is for a yellow cast to be all over your work. So at the time when I was making those plates, you know, Mod Podge was the industry standard, and as far as anybody knew, it didn't turn yellow. Well, I have one of the plates. Here we are 20 years later, completely yellow. I don't know when it starts to turn yellow, if it's an oxidation thing or whatever, but at that point I stopped making the plates because I couldn't guarantee that, you know, this would last a lifetime if nothing happened, like, you know, breakage or whatever. So I just stopped doing it. Now I have a new method, and I'm going to continue making those. I'm not going to mix up a lot of resin, but if I do, I have an overflow mode to catch the extra, because when you make something with resin, if you make too much, you know, you can't waste resin, you know. So what I usually do, if there's an extra, I put it in the overflow mode. That gives like a little teeny, shall we say, base. And then if I put something else in there and then coat it with resin, you end up with something that looks like a Christmas ornament or a keepsake or a memory or whatever. So I'm going to get started. Of course, I'm wearing gloves. This is low odor resin. So it says, to me, it has no odor whatsoever, but resin can off-gas and give you headaches and all kinds of issues that you would get from the regular resin. So to avoid that, I just go ahead and put my shield on or mask on or whatever. Now, I'm going to measure this by volume. And also I use a stainless steel chopstick for my stirring. Most kits come with little wooden sticks. So you end up either having to buy more and more and more wooden sticks. I've seen people take stuff and like scrape it off and try to reuse it. I just use a stainless steel stick. So that way I don't have to reuse anything. It's permanent. So I'm going to open this. And then I'm going to open this. Oh, another thing I did to prep this, before I put the picture in, I went over it with some alcohol swabs and cleaned the surface really good. Then this is freezer paper. I taped that down so that way I have a non-stick surface. Then I put it there, painted the back of the picture with Eileen's tacky glue. Set that on some wax paper just in case. Flipped it over, did the front. Then I went over the entire thing after it was completely dry and sealed with more rubbing alcohol, so that way I know there's no fingerprints or anything on there, and made sure it was nice and smooth. So now we're going to resin it. Hold on, I'm about to sneeze and we don't want that on camera. I only seem to get that issue when I'm working with the resin, so it's possible I might be allergic to it. But we ain't gonna claim that, no. So, I'm thinking I only need a little bit. So I'm going to put it at the 20 milliliter mark. And my resin is warm, because when you deal with resin, you want the temperatures to be good. And the last thing you want to deal with is cold resin. Trust me. Even when you warm it up and all that, you still have to wait a long time before it's usable. Okay, that's 20. This one pours out slower, which makes it harder to gauge. And that's 20. This is a 1-to-1 ratio. There are resins that be having a 3-to-1 and all that. I like things to be simple. Okay, hold on, let me make sure. 20 and 20. And now I'm going to pour the one into the other. This takes about 3 minutes to mix, and it has a 1 hour working time. Well, 45 minutes, which is really close to an hour. When I make larger batches, I use a spatula to do the scraping, but for this small amount, this is fine. There goes my nose again. Now, the one trick I have learned, because most people that go like this, you don't want to stir resin that fast. For one thing, it produces bubbles. And some bubbles will not just dissipate. I do have a heat gun, and I have a few lighters to pop bubbles, but if you stir it slow enough, you don't even have to worry about that. So while we're waiting for this to stir completely up, let's talk about Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. That was yesterday. And this is the second Thanksgiving without my mom. I really couldn't get into it. I just wanted to be by myself. Just honest engine. I wanted to be by myself. I didn't want to interact with people. I didn't want to have to ask who's all vaccinated here, or so forth and so on. My son and my daughter have both had COVID. I'm triple vax, and when you say, are you vaccinated? You know, they're against vaccines anyway. They're anti-vaxxers, both of them. And they like to say stuff like, well, does it matter? I'm sitting 6 feet away from the nearest person to me, and then here comes family members. All of them want to sit right up on you. I have a compromised immune system. I ain't on that. Get away from it. Well, it's a hoax, okay? Well, people have died from that hoax. Respect the fact that I want to be over here. You could be over there. We could still be family and not be in each other's face. There was a cousin that I don't remember. I have memory gaps, so basically, after I asked his name, he looked at me like, I'm Michael. I was like, okay, I have memory gaps. Everybody knows I've had a couple of strokes, so I don't know why anybody was surprised. And my son, his girlfriend, my daughter, her son, and my ex-husband was there. He's bragging that he made rock Cornish hens for everybody. When I was his wife, he said he didn't know how to cook. So I had to do all the cooking, and then it was unappreciated, but we won't go there either. But I made rock Cornish hens for everybody. I'm supposed to be impressed that you cooked something that everybody in the world knows. I mean, who doesn't know how to cook a bird? You know? And then my daughter's yelling over, she didn't let people finish sentences, and then yelling at them because she misunderstood what they meant because, of course, she didn't let them finish a sentence. And my son, you know, the doesn't matter, he lives his life being really, really cynical. And if you say, you know, that's very cynical, I ain't cynical, I'm just honest. Yeah, you're cynical, trust me. This is still showing streaks. Basically, when you first stir it in, it looks cloudy. You're going to stir it until it's no longer cloudy and no more streaks. That way you know it's ready. And then once it reaches that stage, you give it a minute or so just to settle for some odd reason. So, and that's another reason why I know it does put off fumes even though it's low odor. It affects my nose. And so I end up blowing my nose and sneezing and stuff. It's still a fun hobby though, which is why I continue to do it. I have some amazing things I've made with resin that I will show in another video slightly after Christmas because they're Christmas presents. Family members look at my channel. I don't want them to know what they're getting. And this is a total surprise, but this person that I'm making it for, they lead a busy life. They might not see this video until well after Christmas. Okay, now make sure you scrape the sides and the bottom. I need to get a different cup. This is the cup that came with it, but it has like a little lip at the bottom, so when you're stirring across, you're dealing with this little indentation, which makes it hard to do smooth. I thought I was grabbing this cup as a dimmer, so I got resin on my fingers now. But that's also why I wear gloves. I don't have to worry about that. So then they accidentally fed me well, first they weren't even going to feed me a salad. I said, is there a salad? Because, you know, we usually start with salad. You you want a salad? Really, we got all this food. It's like, okay, but I had taken my sugar level. It said 74. That's the lowest it's ever been. And I said, I need to eat now. In other words, I can't wait till you prep the food, heat the food up. A salad is right now, you know, with or without dressing. Can I have a salad? So she put spring mix together, and it has spinach in it. I'm allergic to spinach. So basically, I took a Benadryl and a cup of wine because, yeah, I had to counteract certain people in the room. It's easy to deal with certain people if you got something in your hand to distract you. You know, every time that particular person said something, I just went, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I only had the one glass, but basically when somebody says something that they expect to get under your skin, or they just say stuff out of ignorance that gets under your skin, that's a good distraction. You could pretend like you didn't hear because you're so involved with what's in your hand that, you know. And basically, it worked. I could tell at some point in time, they were basically like, how come she's not upset? I said so and so and so. She usually goes off when I say so and so and so. Yeah. I would do the same thing if I had a cup of coffee. But coffee wasn't offered this time, and yeah. Usually when I go to Topi's house, I make my own coffee, but you know, when you're dealing with, you know, people that are not familiar or whatever, you don't want to hear, you just gonna go in their house and make your own coffee? Because this is the family that will say stuff like that. Now, tell me how your Thanksgiving went. Was it friendly? Was there family? Were there people that say and do little things that annoy the snot out of you? And you could tell they're doing it on purpose, even though they pretend they're so innocent? Or did you spend it by yourself? Were you in quarantine? Were you with masked people? And did you remember to wear a mask or a shield? Or did y'all say, heck with it, we're family, we're going to get COVID, we're going to get it together? How was your day? Let me know. I'm just curious. This still has bubbles in it, but they're really, really teeny bubbles. And I could pop those. Now I'm just going to scrape this all the way off. I'm going to take this and clean it off. Usually I use baby wipes to clean up any resin because baby wipes won't stick to the liquid resin, so you can clean up stuff and not worry about it being sticky or whatever. But right now, I had a tissue, I used a tissue. I will do the same thing for paper towel, but baby wipes are the best. If you're going to use resin, make sure you have baby wipes, an overflow mold, silicone mold rather. I have silicone molds from making soap. This is what I used to make the face soaps with. And then I got a collar mold, and I could cut 10 bars of face soap at one time. So that just kind of went over there and got stored. Here we go. I'm going to pour it right through the center. Resin is self-leveling, so I'm going to pour it through the center so it can spread out. And it looks like I poured the perfect amount. Wow. That never happens. Let's scrape off the extra. It just now reached the edge of the plate. I shouldn't have threw away that tissue. I'll just go get another one. But in the meantime, the bubbles are trying to pop. I'm going to let them. Oops, well, okay. I'm going to put that on the wax paper until I can get to the paper towels. Now I'm just going to move this around so it definitely covers the edges. That's also known as doming, when you take the resin to the point where you want it to stay but not go over. Most people dome things, they usually take like that skewer or whatever and aim it to where they want it, and that way it won't go past that point. But since this is a round surface, what on earth was that? Okay. Somebody's moving something, either that or there's going to be a thunderstorm out there. Now, like I said, this is self-leveling. I have my level right here, and it's flat, so that way when it smooths out, it's covering all the surfaces, including the edges. I see a bubble. Apparently the plate wasn't completely smoothed down, but I can press it and get that resin under it. And that's the fun part about working with resin when it's in this liquid state. You don't have to worry about those little oopsies. Now when it starts to harden, then if you didn't get the bubbles and all that out, now you're going to have an issue. Now let me go get my heat gun or a lighter, one or the other. So you get rid of those bubbles. I should grab the heat gun first. I used it in this room and in that room on 2 different projects, so yeah, it's escaping my brain at the moment where it is, but I have a lighter, so I could just literally pop those bubbles very quickly before I burn my hand. Actually, I have a lighter that has a long arm. What did I do with that? Be right back. I'm going to see if I can find my long arm lighter. Well, I just found out the recording just stopped. Yeah. Perfect. But anyway, I took a old mismatched plate that we have, and instead of putting it on here like this, I'm using the back of it. That way if any of it gets on there, yeah. Had to clean the memory card out. Apparently I had 19 videos stored on there that have already been sent to YouTube, so there's no reason to save them. And going over the last thing I said, I have an old mixed match plate. That means we don't use it. It doesn't match anything. I am using the back. That way, like there, if anything touches the surface, didn't that come out great? I don't have to worry about it, you know, compromising the plate. I see a bubble right on the corner there. Hold on, let me get that. So basically, let me tilt that to the point where it covers up that little oopsie. And then I'll let this self-level again. But that's how it's going to look. And then I'm going to put this on top of it. And it's going to sit there for 24 hours. And in that time, it will harden, the bubbles pop, so forth, so on. And there'll be no lint or dust that settles on it. Not that lint and dust is a problem in my house, but apparently it's an issue that happens with resin. So every resin crafter, every direction sheet, every kit says cover to avoid lint and, you know, dust and blah blah blah. So apparently it's an issue, so I'm making sure there's no issues because this is a gift. You know, I don't see, I mean, I clean my house continuously because I'm OCD, so I never see dust or whatever. The only time I even sneeze or whatever, it's not attributed to dust, it's when I'm working with the resin, it makes my nose go crazy. But anyway, this has been People7 on Twitter and YouTube, People elsewhere on the internet. My soaps are located at PurpleButterfly-soaps.myshopify.com. My blog, which has been reinstated, is PurpleButterfly-people.blogspot.com. Y'all stay blessed and stay tuned. I will be selling these, you know, sometime in the future on my Shopify. Since it's a custom order, basically, I will have to work with the person about which pictures will be suitable and so forth and so on, and then create the item and so forth and so on. It's not like, oh, I want a resin picture, boom, I got, no, because you're going to have to send me the picture. I'm going to have to make sure there's space all the way around, so that way, you know, because nobody wants a picture, you know, embedded in resin where half the head is cut off. You know, you want the whole thing in the frame, you know. And then after I do that, it'll be listed on my Shopify. This picture is going to be an example. I do have one from back in the day, but like I said, there was that issue of yellowing. So we're moving away from, ooh, this yellowed, and we're moving back to, hey, I can put your memories on a plate. And this way, with this product, it'll be crystal clear, nice and shiny, no yellowing ever. Anyway, I've rambled on enough. I got to go to the post office and do my errands and not obsess about the plate under the cover there, because I'm one of them people, you know how they say, don't peek at the cake before it's baked. I'm that girl. I will go. And then when it falls, I'm like, how'd that happen? Yeah. You know, you know how they say a wash teapot never boils? Yeah, I'll be the one watching. Anyway, this has been People7. Y'all stay blessed, stay tuned. Hope y'all had a happy Thanksgiving. And y'all stay safe. Bye now. People of the Purple Butterfly here, otherwise known as People7 on Twitter and YouTube, People elsewhere on the internet. My soaps are located at PurpleButterfly-soaps.myshopify.com. My blog, PurpleButterfly-people.blogspot.com. And it's finished. Ta-da! Is that amazing or what? Totally solid. So, what do you think? is highly reflective too. And that's where I can be found. If you want me to make you one, just say so. These plates are 7 inches, made by a company called Tuxton. And yeah, I'm so happy with how that came out. And there's no worries of it turning yellow ever, ever, ever. So this new method has proven to be effective, and from what I am told from other people that uses the same materials, it will never ever turn yellow. So I can go back to putting memories on plates without having to worry about that issue. So I'm really, really happy. I'm finna go package that up and, you know, make someone's day. And y'all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay happy, and stay blessed. Bye now. This has been People of 7.